Hiroki is your average run-of-the-mill loser. On his days off, he spends his time watching anime or reading manga for free on the internet. His favorite are isekais. Every day it takes 90 minutes for him to get to the office, working for a small company with a very small pay. Almost every day is unpaid overtime, and when he told his boss that it's been like this for weeks now, he just told him that he better keep his mouth shut if he doesn't want to be replaced. After finally finishing up for today, he finds an empty park nearby and lays down, thinking he'll sleep here tonight as there aren't any trains running at this hour. He feels something touching his back. It's the dog poop he just laid down on. Tears start running down his face, wishing there would be another world out there he could go to, just like in the isekais he keeps reading. All of a sudden, a voice asks him if he really means it. After a second of thinking, he finally went insane from overworking. He goes all in, saying that he'll do whatever it takes in order to go to this new world. The voice concedes to his request, and the next thing he knows is that he's next to a girl kneeling that says that they've successfully summoned the mage candidate. He looks around panicked when the king asks Millia, the girl, if she thinks he'll be of any use. She says his magic is especially powerful and he'll make a great mage. The king orders Hiroki to show him his magic now. But he can't do it. While he has great potential, he'll need some time and training to be able to use his powers. The king says that if he can't show it, then it's Millia's job to verbally explain why it's so great. She tries explaining that it goes something like bang and kaboom and whoosh. The king directly asks how much power he feels inside him, but he doesn't feel like he can use magic. Seeing as Millia is in trouble, he takes his jacket off, trying to impress the king, revealing the dog turd still on his back, scaring Millia. Seeing as how even Millia is terrified by him, or rather his turd, he accepts him. They are now in the courtyard and Millia is explaining how things work. However, he's too excited to listen and instead just thanks her for this great opportunity. Funny how energetic he is now, considering he was crying in a park 30 minutes ago. He will still need training in order to use magic, so they get started right away. Millia fires a fireball and tells him to give it a try. He tries doing something, but nothing happens. She laughs, saying that she didn't teach him any magic yet, but the noise he made was funny. In order to become a mage, he needs a magical ring. She takes hers off and transforms into a messy girl with unkempt hair, saying that she wears contacts while working. Putting the ring on his finger, he presumably transforms into a mage, but is wearing her clothes. While laughing, Millia says that he can just wash it and return it later, but he can keep the undies. She tells him to imagine a flame, tighten his abdomen, squeeze, and push hard, making him question if nothing else will come out instead. He feels something and fire comes out of his ear. She forgot to tell him that unless you have a cane, magic usually comes out of the right ear. Seeing as his hair is burned to a crisp, she goes to get her 100 yen pair of scissors to trim the burned bits. However, before leaving, he says he's really glad he has such a good teacher, making her blush. After getting the scissors, she starts cutting his hair, but she slips and cuts his ear off. Completely. She blames it on the 100 yen scissors. However, she reassures him that it can be healed with healing magic, which she does, giving him a brand new ear. After, she takes his old ear and throws it away, laughing that it reached all over in the river, making Hiroki wonder what kind of weirdo he just got involved with. After things have calmed down a bit, he says that this is nothing like the world he was picturing. Swords, dragons, and elves, stuff like that. However, she lets him know that they have all of that. In fact, she is actually an elf. He asks if he can have a look at her long ears since she hides them, but that request makes Millia hide her blushing face. No normal person would make such a request. For a female elf, showing your ears is an intimate act, even more so than showing your bare breasts. He apologizes, not knowing it was like that. He was just curious because long ears look cool. She takes another look at him and asks if he really wants to see them. After all of the abuse she put him through, she can at least do that. He gets excited, but wait. If bare breasts are less embarrassing, then it should be more acceptable for her to show him that, which he requests. She appears to accept, but then shoves her staff in his face and steps on him, letting him know that he shouldn't push his luck. There are always people that are ready to replace him even in this world. On the next day, our duo is seen kneeling before the king. The king asks Millia her opinion on Hiroki's progress, to which she responds that his power has surpassed her expectations. He's on his way to becoming a great mage. The king is delighted and lets him know that first of all they should make sure he can live comfortably in this world. He reaches his new bedroom in the common soldier's dormitory, and he apparently also had a proper haircut since the incident yesterday. A voice is heard inside Hiroki's head. It's Millia, saying the first thing on his training bucket list is learning telepathy. It's not magic, but rather a skill. Millia can use it to communicate with someone infinitely far away. The trick is to visualize the other person's face and have a strong desire to talk to them. He concentrates and suddenly Millia hears him calling out to her. She compliments him by saying he's a quick learner, and he gets happy about her compliment. But Millia hears his excitement, making him a bit embarrassed. She will hear everything he thinks for a while until he learns to control it. Oh no. Millia hears that he thinks she's really cute, making her a little embarrassed, but shortly after he thinks that her jugs are really big. He tries speaking out loud to stop his thoughts, but his brain has gone off to think about how his crotch felt tingly when he wore Millia's clothes yesterday, wondering if she always wears underwear like that. She thinks that maybe she was mistaken about him, asking him when he's leaving to his old world. Our boy's thoughts are derailing, so he remembers Millia's tip about thinking about the person you want to speak to. He thinks about the king, who receives the random message about Hiroki wanting to bury his head where no other man has before. Jumping to a later time, Millia and Hiroki are walking around town. Today, Hiroki is going to finally receive his own magical ring. They reach the store where Otto the magic items dealer greets them. Hiroki's actual equipment will be custom made, so today they're only buying a temporary second-hand ring. Otto gives him a ring which he puts on, transforming into a magic comedian. Otto says the text on the items is old, so he sometimes misreads them. Millia says that it is perfect for him, but he expresses his desire to not be a comedian. The next one transforms him into a proper-looking mage. However, Otto says that he has now become a traveling stone-baked potato merchant. Lastly, he puts on a proper magician ring and receives a cane so magic doesn't come out of his right ear again. He starts crying tears of joy, saying he'll definitely become a mage that can help people, making Millia grossed out. Thinking back on his first day, he remembers he burnt Millia's hat with his ear magic, so he says that it would make sense to replace it now since they're already here. He whispers to Otto asking if he has any bunny girl rings in the back. However, Millia hears that and says she will blow up the store if they even try that. The old man gives her a ring which he says has an old history. She puts it on and transforms into a magical high school girl, making Otto apologize, saying he mistakenly gave that to her. We cut to a girl speaking to another girl who is on the toilet, addressing her by her name, Sophie. Sophie replies, saying that she should address her as Thunder Emperor, as she is now her subordinate. On a side note, this is the first time I'm seeing bathrooms in an isekai. They walk past Hiroki when the girl asks why they're even here today, to which Sophie replies that Millia called them. At the magic shooting range, Sophie lands with a huge thunderbolt, her signature magic. She introduces herself to Hiroki. Today, she will be teaching him what he just saw her do. She says that if he wants to use lightning magic, he should be upside down because of the electrodes, whatever that means. Millia cuts in saying that she hasn't yet taught him flying magic, and so Sophie suggests they do this at a later time. But Millia wants to do it today because Sophie is always busy. He tries getting upside down by doing a handstand, however he falls over. Millia urges him to do it again, but he fails again. She is really fired up, ordering Sophie to hold Hiroki's legs. She gets ready to catch his leg, but she gets smacked right in the face by it. He apologizes, however Sophie says this is nothing for her. All the while she has a massive nosebleed. Hiroki urges Millia to stop, but Sophie ensures him that no matter what she will teach him lightning magic. They get into position again, however, this time, as Hiroki's legs approach Sophie, she gets scared and dodges them, making Hiroki hit the floor and pass out. Seeing as he is out cold, Millia tells Sophie with a scary look on her face that they'll try again next week. Back in his original world, some people are searching through Hiroki's old apartment. The man says that Hiroki might have been involved in an incident causing Hiroki's sister to fall to the ground. Hiroki is seen controlling a small animal. He sees Millia and goes over to her, but she recognizes it's him and covers her skirt. He defends himself by saying that he's just training with familiars like she told him to. She asks Hiroki if he's contacted his sister ever since he came into this world. It's been over a year since he's left his old world, but he wonders if his sister would even want to hear from him. Millia says that his sister owns a dachshund and Pomeranian, and he can now take over them with the familiar takeover magic he just learned. Even though he's reluctant to contact his sister, he says he'll give it a try. He concentrates and wakes up in the dachshund's body. He looks around the room and sees his sister crying on the sofa. Next to him, Millia has taken over the Pomeranian and says that his sister is crying because of him. He calls out to his sister using telepathy, making his sister wonder if he died and became a ghost. She looks down and sees her Pomeranian introduce itself as Millia. She calms down a bit after they explain what is happening, and has no choice but to believe this situation. She asks if he can at least come home for New Year's Eve, but it's not like he can commute between worlds that easily. It took Millia the magic power accumulated over 20 years in order to bring Hiroki to that other world. Millia says that he would have to wait at least another 20 years before he can even think of going back. His sister gets mad that he went over without consulting her at all. In 20 years, they'll both be in their 40s after all. Well, at least she's glad that he's not dead and is doing well in the other world. They take their goodbyes with Hiroki's sister, asking Millia to take care of her stupid brother. They come back, and it just hits Hiroki that the fact he has a sister should be a mystery to Millia. She confesses that she's been looking over him ever since he was born because of his magic potential at birth. Well, that's a bit weird, but he also thinks that 20 years is a pretty long time. Millia takes a look at him, guessing that he's probably thinking about her age right now, even if he didn't actually use telepathy. On another day at the magic shooting range, Millia is seen chanting a spell before firing a huge magic spell. Hiroki praises her, however she says that even he should be able to do this much. He prepares for the spell and tries casting it, but not even halfway through he forgets the rest. She repeats it again herself, but it's too long for him to remember. Complex magic spells are actually pretty hard to remember, a thing our boy has just learned the hard way. He asks Millia to teach him some easier magic, but he can't grow like that. Instead, she tells him that he'll be memorizing that magic by tomorrow and no later. He sits down at his desk and finds that his phone he brought over actually came in handy in this world. He filmed Millia doing the spell so he can watch it over and over. He starts thinking that even if he can't memorize it, Millia is already capable of casting such magic. That must mean that they need an even stronger sage for something. All of a sudden, Millia knocks on the door, making our boy crumble his paper, thinking that she will surely get mad if he hasn't memorized the spell by now. She sees the crumbled paper and thinks he's hiding a dirty magazine page and says that she understands boys his age are sometimes interested in other women. He doesn't need to hide it, but it's all a misunderstanding. She actually came in to bring him dinner to help with his hard work. She whips out a dish called shizan, but it quickly dawns on Hiroki that those are just onagiris. While in there, Hiroki asks her if there is anything wrong in this world for them to try to create stronger mages. She says that conflicts between humans sometimes happen, but no matter what, she will protect him from any danger until he becomes a fully fledged mage. The next day has rolled around and Hiroki is preparing to cast the spell he learned. This time he executes it flawlessly and gets praised by Millia for doing so. Looking at the destruction he caused with his powers, Millia is sure that one day he'll be the most powerful mage in the world. Millia says that if he becomes the most powerful mage, maybe everyone will be able to leave peacefully, making Hiroki feel like he has a purpose for the first time in his life. Sophie has come back again to pick up from where she left off last time. This time, they will start with learning how to fly. He tries flying, but he just wobbles a bit before falling down. Siri, Sophie's friend, tells him that he needs to be completely relaxed in order to fly. He can take a look at Sophie's undergarments to relax a bit. He focuses again, but this time he actually takes flight, darting past Sophie. He is looking over the horizon when Millia calls out to him. She tells him that now that he knows how to fly, he'll have to learn the magic of genjutsu by the evening. There is a parade of the magical army in the kingdom this evening, and they want to show off Hiroki's power. They can't have him blow up the parade, so he is going to have to learn some non-destructive magic as well. After some training and a bit of rest, Hiroki can finally use genjutsu magic. He can make dragons, clones of himself, and other fun stuff. Millia has but one request from him. They'll be riding in a carriage during the parade, together with Melville, the most powerful mage in the world, so she wishes for him to not be rude to her at all. While in the carriage, Hiroki finally gets a good look at Melville, noting that her ears are uncovered despite what Mila said about elves' ears. She tells Hiroki that he should stop staring at her cleavage and instead start waving back at the crowd. The crowd is full of crazed otaku-like people, yelling the magician's names and waving. Melville says that this is such a waste of time and asks Hiroki to at least raise a salute, something that was her job on previous occasions. Sophie tells him to relax and remember what happened at the range earlier today. He takes a second to recall and raises a salute of a giant Sophie mascot. Most importantly, her underwear is completely visible to everyone in the crowd, making Melville compliment her on her choice. She also asks Hiroki to show her some more, which he happily does.